Hello everyone, welcome to this session. My name is Ms. Rejoyce Otaru from Sokoine University of Agriculture, Department of Tourism and Recreation. Our course is BTM 115, Museum, Monument and Heritage Sites, and our today's topic is Museum and Tourism. Our main objective of today's session is to see the relationship between museum and tourism, and we are going to see how museum impact tourism, how tourism benefits from museums, especially cultural tourism. As we know, museums play as critical role in cultural institutions. Museums are also referred as a house of culture, and we know that culture has become a key factor in the competition among cities to attract tourists, and an important part of service-based economy. Museums store information of the past and the present generation, hence preserve the heritage of the community. So museum is one of the cultural tourism attraction sites whereby culture-based tourists will enjoy to interact with museum. Museums play a critical role as cultural institutions. They are also referred to a house of culture. As we know, culture has become a key factor in the competition among cities to attract tourists and an important part of service-based economy. Museums store information of the past and the present generation, and museum is one of the cultural tourism attraction sites that can be visited with different kind of tourists. Hence, museums have become an important partner in tourism industry. Museums are cultural products that attract tourists and support tourism industry in a number of ways. This includes launching cooperative ventures, leisure venues that are being held in the museum buildings, supporting local festivals, including cultural festivals and sports festivals that may be supported with the museum. But also, it has unique features that support multiple exhibition facilities. From a storehouse to a tourist product. Initially, responsibility of museum was to care for its collection, but currently the role has changed to care visitors and service provision. Therefore, museum should not be a storehouse anymore, but a place that provides appealing and a memorable experience to visitors. Both museum and tourism have interest regarding sustainable cultural development. And now we are going to see how this relationship is made because of the interest that they all have towards sustainable cultural development. Museums provide an ideal place for consuming cultural experience and the cultural heritage. Many people are interested in the conservation of outstanding monuments and traditional cultures. The engagement in these topics increases with the standard of living in a country. With increasing purchasing power, additionally, aspect of lifestyle attracts attention. So, poor nation, with most people just fighting for satisfaction of their elementary needs, just like food and clothes, are less inclined to care about culture and heritage, about cultural tourism, especially spending their income to tourism. But for those developed countries, tourists from those developed countries, whereby they have extra income, are more interested and they have higher purchasing power, whereby they are attracted to cultural inheritance and being attracted to cultural tourism, including visiting of museums. The unprecedented increase of real income in the Western world after the Second World War has aroused an equally unprecedented interest in the witness of the past. And this is the first hint that there is an economic dimension concerning monuments. Cultural sites must have a specific economic value insofar as much money is spent for them. On the one hand, public and private means are invested into the maintenance and conservation of monuments. On the other hand, people spend money in order to visit those places. So the idea here, through tourism, we may be able to get money and fund from museums, and in return, that fund obtained from museums, especially from the interest fee from tourists, will be reinvested to the preservation and the sustainability of those attractions. It is in a way a little bit sad that everything regarding our culture and heritage is linked with money from tourist industry. But the good news is the tourist industry can be used as a weapon for the preservation, conservation, and protection of our heritage, whether this is cultural heritage, geological heritage, natural heritage, tangible or intangible heritage. So the relationship we are trying to see between tourism and museum is the way tourism industry acts as a weapon to preserve museums, to conserve it, and to protect it as our heritage. And in turn, museum now become a sustainable attraction to tourists, which will result to a generation of fund to the tourist. So how does it relate to each other? Now museum act as an attraction, and the tourism, after benefiting from the fund or from the profit from museum as an attraction, that money is in turn reinvested to museum preservation, protection, and conservation. So the big question is, what kind of tourists are attracted by monuments? What information do monuments provide to the tourists? And how monuments could be used to attract tourists? As far as the type of tourists who are attracted by monuments include students, include researchers, include cultural based tourists, and the information that these monuments will provide to these tourists will make them even revisit that museum. But how monuments could be used as an attraction to tourists include those museums that are well reserved, well conserved, but these are the ones which are going to attract tourists. So sites and monument interpretation is also very important as far as attraction to tourists. So what will people learn from visiting a monument? This is a big question to ask ourselves. So how can that monument intertwine with the life of the city? Now it comes to the type of collection that will be available to those museums. Tourists expecting to visit those museums and interact with the city life or the community life through the display of those fact collection that will be available in the museums. So can it be used for educational purpose only, or can it be used for educational purpose, both for visitors as well for the locals? In this case, museums, they are not going to be only important for tourists, but also for the local people, whereby it becomes a place to preserve their culture, even for generation to generation in the future. In order for monuments to be respected by the general public, we need to make sure that the local respect and love the heritage of their country, their city, and their neighborhood. Public engagement is important in the long-term preservation of our heritage. The local could be trained to work as guides or produce craft and product inspired by their own cultural heritage. By this technique, it will be very easy for local community to be directly involved into tourism and at the same time into preservation of these museums and heritage sites. Therefore, preserving their cultural heritage will financially benefit them, whereby they may be able to engage directly, sell their artifacts, working together with protection committee of the museum, and they will have one more reason to care for it. In this way, even people living in poorest areas will see the protection of their heritage as the cornerstone for their own well-being and development of the area. So public inclusion to the preservation of museum cannot be avoided if we really want to have sustainable protection and conservation of museum, both for the benefit of the community and for the benefit of tourism. So respect towards cultural heritage, natural heritage, and the traditions by the local will trigger the respect by the tourists. Not all kinds of tourism have a positive reflex on the society that accept these tourists. It is up to the hosts to choose how to educate their visitors and how to benefit by tourism without compromising their cultural integrity. And this is very important to the engagement of tourists with the local in a harmonious way, whereby tourists will freely benefit from engagement with locals and at the same time being able to preserve and protect the museum and the environment around the museum. So one would say that it is less about economics and more about creating touch points and connection between the past and the present. Mostly important, it's about memory, identity, and attachment. With respect to tourism, maintaining and saving architectural monuments attract tourists, specifically people who like to experience the spirit of the city. With respect to tourism, maintaining and saving architecture monuments attract tourists, especially people who like to experience the spirit of the city, which is seen through architectures. As well, when all the buildings attract tourists, that will definitely create more jobs for locals and help in improving the economic prosperity of the city. Therefore, maintaining historical buildings provide workplaces for local people and expertise from other countries. Economic impact of museums. There are three main ways that museum can impact the economy of the city and act as a catalyst for city development. There is direct way, indirect way, and induced way. As far as direct way is concerned, we mean the admission fee and taxes from tourists towards the museum. And the indirect way will include shops and restaurants and the other service-based business that is around the museum or within the museums. And in just the way, this includes salaried employees. Those people who are employed in the museum get paid, and when they are paid, it acts as a catalyst for the city development, whereby they'll be able to contribute to different city development projects because of the salary that they are earning from museum employment. Finally, let's see what are the sources of museum income. Where does museum earn money? As far as tourism is involved, museum may receive money from interest fee, whereby every tourist, both international and the local tourists who visited the particular museum, will pay interest fee, and that is one of the direct source of museum income. The other way is membership fee, whereby those interested tourists or local community member who will like to be the part of the museum, to be the part of museum member, they pay this fee, and this fee go direct to support museum income. And this fee may be yearly, quarterly, or per month. It just comes in different packages. Remember that when it comes to membership fee, this money is going directly to the income of the museums, and it can be used to support different activities, including conservation and the preservation of those museums. The other source of income for museum includes sales of artifacts. So other museums will allow to sell some of the collection to the tourists or to those people who will visit the museum, and it will directly impact the income of the museums. Another way that museums receive money is through government subsidy, whereby government provide fund and donation to the museum so that they may be able to supply their needs, and especially for the main goal of preservation and conservation of the resources. Another way that museums gain money is through donation from different members, including UNESCO and other interested bodies. Another way that museums gain money is through conference and venues for hire. As we know, museums are buildings that have been conserved and protected, but there are tourists or local people who would prefer to use museum venues for their events or festivals, and they will pay conference venue or fee to those buildings. And also other tourists, including filmmakers, will use museum for filming and contribute some fee that will also add to the income of the museums. Through these different sources that I've mentioned, including interest fee, membership fee, sales of artifacts, government subsidy, donation, conference and venues for hire, and filming, these are the general sources of museum income, whereby from this income now, museum will be able to supply salaries and also to involve all the necessary expenses, especially for conservation and preservation. And we know that from preservation of these museums, that is how museum will continue to benefit as a tourism attraction. So to conclude, museums play a big role to make cultural tourism or tourism in general develop and sustain. And if museum will be well preserved and well conserved, that means this will be sustainably impacting tourism positively. But the bad side is that if museums will not be conserved and protected, both with the museum management and the local community around the museum, then it will not be able to save for the future generation and for the future growth of tourism. So for us to have a sustainable tourism, a sustainable cultural tourism, we need to make sure that museums are well preserved and well conserved so that tourism will continue to benefit from it. This marks the end of today's session. Thank you for listening, and we will continue to the next session where we will see the impact of climate change to museum, monuments, and heritage sites, and what are the mitigation strategies that we can take to conserve our museum, monuments, and heritage sites as far as climate change is concerned. Thank you so much.
Chuo kikuu cha Sokoine cha kilimo SUA. SUA ni chuo kikuu bora na kikongwe cha kilimo nchini Tanzania.